Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the latest episode of Fear the Walking Dead, Close Your Eyes. As always, I won't be holding back on spoilers, so consider yourselves warned. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. I'll start off by saying that I am genuinely surprised by how well received this episode has been by critics and fans alike. So if you're coming to this video expecting me to reiterate the same rhetoric that every other reviewer seems to be saying, I'm sorry, you're in the wrong place. I didn't like this episode, in fact I thought it was worse than last week's, which I couldn't stand. Once again, I was bored from start to finish, and once again I found myself questioning why I'm even still watching the show. The episode resumes where last week's left things, with Alicia seeking shelter from the storm. She manages to find an abandoned house and holes up inside. Of course she has to deal with some walkers first and does her best impression of Ezio from Assassin's Creed with an impressive double zombie kill. After doing a bit of scavenging around the house, Alicia runs into an uninvited guest, who happens to be everyone's favourite child of the apocalypse, Charlie, who sadly she has to spend the rest of the episode with. Oh god, not Charlie. Why? Charlie locks herself in a room upstairs, which then causes Alicia to run outside because she can't stand to be in the same house as her, putting her life at risk in the process. The next scene features her trying to open a car door, with the door smacking her in the face with her comically KOing herself. I'm not sure if I was supposed to laugh at this moment, but I did. It was like watching one of those crappy fail videos on YouTube. It's after this point in my mind that the episode begins to border on being almost unwatchable, thanks to some awful dialogue and a gluttony of plot holes that make no sense whatsoever. I mean, immediately after Alicia knocks herself out, she wakes up in the house, runs upstairs, and then proceeds to scream at Charlie for taking her back into said house. Wait, what? How the hell did Charlie, a kid, find the strength to drag Alicia into a house during a storm? This is ridiculous writing, and I'm amazed that people are overlooking this. Sadly, the writing just gets even worse after this. I mean, shortly after there's a scene in which Charlie is sitting down looking all sad and depressed while staring at some photos of the people who used to live in the house who are now dead. So what? Why am I supposed to care about these random people who I've never met? Why do I care if she's upset about it? This just feels like padding and there's no need for it. What's even worse is that later on, Charlie again goes to these photos and gets emotional when Alicia wants to use them for what I presume is to start a fire. Why does she care? Why does anyone care about photos of random people? I don't understand. This is all pretty dire, however the worst part of the episode came when Alicia was nailing the windows outside, which caused some wet walkers to appear. Alicia says to Charlie that they were making too much noise, with them both rushing inside. Making too much noise. Too much noise. In a bloody storm. Did you hear how loud the wind and the rain were? Do you really think walkers can hear you banging a nail from a distance? Jesus, give me strength, please. Anyway, as you can guess, not a lot really happens in this episode, with its main focus being centered on Alicia's struggle to spare Charlie, because that's what Madison would have wanted. Yep, I'm sure she would have wanted her son's killer to be alive. That's right, good old Maddie, the woman who clumped Troy in the head with a hammer, killed him in front of Nick. But let's just forget that ever happened, shall we? In all seriousness, Alicia's struggle to spare Charlie just didn't appeal to me at all. Truthfully, I don't find this to be a new or exciting concept. We've had this notion of forgiveness and the idea of second chances shoved down our throats countless times already in both Fear and The Walking Dead. In fact, I think it would be more shocking and interesting at this point if Alicia actually killed her instead, because honestly, everyone watching this episode knew that she wouldn't have the guts to do it. I just feel like the protagonists are becoming too nice. Morgan doesn't want to harm a fly except when he turns into the Terminator, John doesn't like violence, Al just watches things unfold on her camera, and Alicia has just let her brother's killer walk free. I'm really struggling to relate to these people at all, although that doesn't mean that I'm a murderer.
Or does it?
Secondly, although the show tried its best to make me feel something with Charlie this episode, I just still don't like her. Do you really expect me to suddenly care about her just because she has some sob story about how she lost everyone and how she's all on her own, blah blah blah? So what? That doesn't excuse any of the things she's done. It doesn't help either that once again she's doing stupid Walking Dead kid things like trying to run into a walker or crying over some photographs. If I was Alicia, I would have just let her get eaten by the walker who was in the tree. I mean, I don't like to criticise a child, but her acting this episode was terrible. I couldn't take the scene with her and Alicia in the water seriously because of her blatant overacting. When she was there trying to cry, screaming, "I don't want to be one of them," I just wanted to turn my TV off. It was so cringeworthy. And speaking of cringeworthy, that moment towards the end when Alicia and Charlie are in the car, boy, was that one of the worst things I've seen on Fear the Walking Dead. Imagine you're on a beach. The water is coming in. The sky is blue. You're building a sandcastle. There's crabs in your underpants and there's a jellyfish on your forehead. I'm there. I'm on the beach, my mum and dad are there, this is amazing, oh my god. I mean, what am I watching here? Is this some kind of really crappy teenage drama? It was just embarrassing to watch. Just please don't ever do that again. And I won't ever do that again, I promise. Is it just me, or does anyone else feel like this entire storm scenario is just an attempt to save money? Kind of like the farm in season 2 of The Walking Dead. A storm forces characters to stay indoors and stay in one place, making episodes more cost effective to shoot. To me, it seemed like the show was struggling in terms of budget towards the end of the first half of the season, with its really abrupt ending for Madison, which consisted of some pictures thrown together in a montage, and at the moment this show reeks of corporate cost cutting. The fact that the storm finishes at the end of this episode is also pretty worrying, as I think it means the next episodes are going to take place during the same time period as this installment, with one focusing on John, Al and June, one on Luciana and Strand, and the other on Morgan. I think that's how everyone is split up, but I don't really remember. Anyway, all this means is that the plot isn't really going to go anywhere for a while, and we are probably going to spend a whole lot of time indoors or inside vehicles with these characters. Yay. It's kind of weird that this episode reminded me of this season's 5th entry, which also exclusively focused on 2 characters, as I rather like that installment. However, I also know a lot of people who didn't enjoy it, and maybe this is an entry that will also divide opinion. I can certainly understand why critics and viewers want to jump on board with this episode. Alicia Deadman-Carey is a very popular actress, no doubt helped by her seemingly nice persona and her very good looks, with everyone willing for her to succeed. And whilst I think she did what she could, for me her performance, as good as it was, couldn't overcome a fundamentally flawed and lazy script. I still find that I have no real reason to care for Charlie, and I wish the show would just stop pushing that angle. This just wasn't for me at all. I have no interest in seeing Alicia and Charlie be friends, and I have no interest or am I worried about the storm, because I think all the characters are going to survive it anyway, and I just don't know what this show has become anymore. But if you like this episode, that's absolutely fine, and judging on other reviews, I seem to be in the minority. But like I said last week, I'm so incredibly close to giving up on this show because apart from 1 or 2 episodes, I just haven't enjoyed this season at all, with this being another entry to add to the list which I didn't enjoy. So there you have it, thank you very much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts below. Did you dislike this episode as much as I did, or did you quite enjoy it? Whatever your opinions, please leave your comments below. As always, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.